Welcome to the Customer Wins podcast, where business leaders discuss their secrets and techniques for helping their customers succeed and in turn grow their business.
Hi, I'm Rich Walker, the host of The Customer Wins, where I talk to business leaders about how they help their customers win and how their focus on customer experience leads to growth. Some of my past guests have included Adrian Johnstone of Practify, Jason Early of Riser, and Brian Portnoy of Shaping Wealth. Today, I get to speak with Liz Fritz, the co-founder of F2 Strategy. And today's episode is brought to you by Quick, the leader in enterprise forms processing. When your business relies upon processing forms, don't waste your team's valuable time manually reviewing the forms. Instead, get Quick. Using Quick, you'll be able to generate completed forms and get back clean, context-rich data that reduces manual reviews to only 1 out of 1,000 submissions. Visit quickforms.com to get started. All right, today's guest, Liz Fritz, is a tenured marketing executive and co-founder of F2 Strategy, the largest pure-play wealth tech consulting firm in the US. As a former corporate marketer, Liz offers unique expertise in the entrepreneurial and M&A space through her experience successfully translating her in-house marketing communications knowledge into growing F2's enterprise value with strategic marketing, brand strategy, and culture development. Liz is a frequent speaker at industry events and a vocal advocate for supporting and lifting women in this space, which I love. Liz, welcome to The Customer Wins.
Thanks so much. Thank you for having me, Rich.
I'm really excited to get your perspective today. So for those who haven't heard my show before, I just love to talk to business leaders about what they're doing to help their customers win, how they built and deliver a great customer experience, and the challenges to growing their own company. So Liz, I want to get to know your business a lot better. How does your company help people?
Oh, thanks so much. So F2 Strategy, as you mentioned, we're, I think, the largest pure play wealth and asset management consultancy in the space. So it's super exciting. Lots of growth recently. Our goal has always been simple, Rich, from day one. We help Doug and I, my co-founder and my husband, partner in crime, help executives make great decisions when it comes to technology. And the real core root of that mission, Rich, is technology enables deeper human connection. Sometimes we get a little bit, as a Silicon Valley native girl, I get a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of technology and the headlines about technology is isolating us. We actually came at this completely differently in our space because we truly feel like advisors didn't come in to work with technology. Advisors come into this industry to work with people, and technology is there to actually take off some of that operational burden and time and give it back so they really can dive into their passion, connecting with their clients and prospects, learning about their financial legacy and helping their clients get there. So that's what we do at F2.
I love that you put it that way because early on, I was teaching people about how to create the efficient office. And everybody thinks, oh, tech, I will get this thing that makes me so much better. And I don't see it that way at all. You've got to start with people. Who are the people? Yep. What are their roles? What's their capabilities? Then you start about process. What are they doing? How do they apply skills? And then technology is just a solution. It's just an enabler. So
exactly.
Is that how you frame it? And then how do you get your customers to change their thinking around this?
Well, it was really interesting back around right around 2020 when COVID hit. It was a real eye opener, I think, for our industry. It was, Doug and I founded F2 Strategy 10 years ago as of April 1st, which the fact that it's April Fool's Day does not, we understand that. But 10 years ago, and when COVID hit, one of the silver linings, Rich, was that it really made people in our industry depend on technology, right? There's always been this push and pull around technology, confidentiality, regulation, security, all these things that have just made our industry travel a little bit slower down that technology path. And COVID really forced us into that, right? Advisors were meeting with their clients on Zoom, platforms, events, marketing was being translated into all digital from maybe paper in the past. And so it's been fascinating to see and to see like, wow, we can actually do exactly what you said, Rich, is we can actually use it to streamline our operational systems. So we help our clients put those systems in place. Tech for tech's sake is not great tech. Making sure that you're building the right pipes and infrastructure of your organization that tech can then streamline so that your advisors and your people are doing what people do best, which is build trust, build relationships, and take care of their clients.
Yeah. There's so many bad things about COVID, but I'm so grateful for just being able to be on video. I mean,
Exactly.
pre-COVID, I kept saying, "Hey, we got to get on video, team. We should get on video." And even though we had like half our team remote, we still did not do video. 100% of my
Yes.
sales were done with black screens. I
Yep.
mean,
Yes. And I remember my early days at Wells Fargo and BNP Paribas, and it was a big deal. Do you remember to do like a teleconference, right? This was one
yeah,
video call with your Paris office, and you had to schedule it and reserve it. And it was really expensive. And you all went into this one conference room, whereas now we're connected all the time. To me, that's beautiful. And creates space for deeper human connection. I hope many of us now are weaving that into more of a hybrid space so we get real time as well. But you can just fluidly connect with someone like you and I and have a great conversation. And we didn't have to fly to meet, right? You're in Texas, I'm in Chicago. We get to have this great conversation now, today.
I know. I love that. I love that convenience. And I was also just, it was incredibly impressive how fast people moved to tech and reliance on tech. I mean, like digital signature took off. It was already being adopted, but it just took off because people didn't
Yep.
want to touch envelopes that might have been
Yeah.
licked by somebody, you know?
Right.
But I think that a lot of people forget that tech is fundamentally about this connection with people. And I'm going to jump several steps ahead here because I also happen to know you love brand. And I think brand is very much around what you promise people. So how does this connect for you with tech and brand and people, et cetera?
Um, I love that question. I'm a brand woman. I former like legacy CMO of F2. I built the brand from the ground up, literally. I'm really passionate about brand for value, brand and people, brand about trust. And so to me, when we first got connected, Rich, I was so excited because to me, brand is the fundamental foundation, or sometimes I refer it to as the spine of your customer journey, your client journey. Um, building your brand intentionally early on and having it be really authentic allows you to then create this living brand that should touch your customer and your clients every touch point of the way as you grow and add employees to your company, your team's growing. They're all living that brand, and that customer journey actually becomes your brand in real life, building trust around this authentic service that you're providing, right? So we talked early on about service. Your company provides a service, my company provides a service, but people buy from people and people buy from people that they trust. And so to me, having a brand, it can grow and evolve, but having clarity and authenticity around your brand from day one, from early days, is so, so core to creating a really beautiful and sustainable and scalable client experience.
All right, Liz, I started my company with a very similar intention. And I can articulate it from my viewpoint. I really want to hear how you started with that core intention. Like, what did brand mean to you on day one? And how did that translate to activity and putting it in place? What did you do?
So it's fascinating. So Doug founded F2 Strategy on April 1st, 2016. I was in a big corporate marketing job in San Francisco doing the commute. I call it like the soul sucking commute over the Golden Gate Bridge. Our little boys were, I think, 9 months old and almost 3. They're now 11 and 13. So we've been at this for a while. And I had, this was pre-COVID, right? So I had never experienced life a different way. I never knew you could do work a different way, that you could work from home. Like all this was completely new to me. And so Doug's background is really tech centric. He's former CTO of First Republic back in the day, Wells Fargo. He's the tech brain, the builder, I said he's the techie guy, the geek squad of F2. I'm the marketer, grew up in the same industry. We met in the same industry. So we came from wealth management and financial services. So I came on to F2, and my background, like you said, was brand, marketing, PR, content, social media. That was my space. I had done a chunk of my tenure also on the sales side. So I was really passionate about this intersection between client relationships because I had managed books of business in the wealth management space, but then marrying that with my passion, which is the creative, the brand, the writing, the messaging, and the storytelling. And so obviously Doug's like, I named this F2 because you're going to join. And I saw him do work a different way. Again, built like helping our peers make great decisions. And so I joined about 6 months later. I just jumped ship, joined, and really dug into the brand. Well, as you know, in a brand new company, we didn't have any marketing budget. Like, not at all. It's just
right.
here's Liz and now build a brand. And so it was really important for us to understand who we were early days and who we serve, because we didn't have the time or money to waste any of that. Right. So it's like, okay, early days, who are we going to serve? Like you said, we're helping the tech executives at wealth firms make great decisions. That's the CTO, COO, sometimes the CEO of a smaller firm. That's our market. We're not talking to anybody else. So it's really about fine tuning who we serve. And it was great because Doug spoke the tech language, I spoke the marketing language, but in reality, they're the same questions you should ask yourself as a firm is, who are we? Who do we serve? Really fine tuning that demographic. And so from day one, we focused on who we're serving and what we do. We help them make great decisions about technology, right? And this was pre-COVID, so that looked a little bit different. There was an AI like boom back then. It was, people were going a little bit slower. And I really dug into that we help people make great decisions, which is we provide thought leadership to help you make great decisions. So writing, talking, speaking on podcasts, speaking at any conference I could get into. I found early days that if you can speak at a conference, you get the registration free discounted, right? So I'm like, I'm going to get Doug on stage or me on stage, like at every conference, because we didn't have a sponsorship budget to get on stage or to host panels. And so it was really intentional, or like candidly, because of scarcity. We didn't have the luxury to mess up. We had to be very clear and articulate, and take every step had to be both efficient, low budget or no budget, and aligned with our mission, which was to help people. And in that space, Doug was coming out of an area where he wanted to be the solution that he wished he and his peers had when he sat as the CTO. So the authenticity around like, I am you, I was you, and I don't have compliance anymore. I can tell you all the real deal, right? My mistakes, my blunders, to really help you along the way. So that the brand, beyond look and feel, we could talk about that a little bit more, but it was really about authenticity, knowing who we were, and doing it from day one. I mean, I joined 6 months later. Doug was like, You have to join. We can't do any of this without the fundamental of a brand backbone, because he's married to a marketer, and I was, singing that tune from day one. And so it was this natural evolution around that. But I think authenticity, Rich, is really, really core. And we had to do it because of scarcity. But I think everyone has a budget. Is don't waste your time trying to serve everybody. Figure out who you are, who you serve, and how you can help them, and go for that.
Easier said than done. I'm going to tell you from experience.
Yes. But I'd say both ways are not easy. Sometimes, if you have the multi-million-dollar marketing budget, it's hard in different ways. But it's really takes a team that understands and is passionate about brand and how brand creates that customer journey and creates that growth capability. Because we were building F2 for scale, and so we knew that this brand had to be able to grow and take us onto bigger stages and to bigger media outlets and client conversations. And I only had one sales guy, Rich. It was Doug. He walked in a room. And so my goal was, when Doug walked in a room, he didn't have to tell people who F2 strategy was. They already knew. And he was surrounded by this halo or surround sound system of credibility. And that's how I built it from day one. And again, you don't need, for those that are listening, you don't need a multi-million-dollar budget. Don't let that hold you back. But you really do need to understand who you are and be truly authentic to the type of leader that you want to be in the space to your clients.
Okay, but I'm going to point out something that you said that I want to make, I think, more clear.
Okay.
You defined your purpose into a single phrase, right? To help people make better decisions. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know exactly how you said it, but along those lines, right?
Yep.
To me, that's the lightning rod. That's the lightning rod at which you guys say, do we or don't we do something?
Yep.
And to have that kind of clarity in the early days is so, so important, but also so challenging to do. And you described essentially a process, get to know who you are, who you're serving, you're pointing those out. But I think I want to point out to people that when you distill it down to this one core purpose,
Mhm.
it just helps you make so many other decisions faster and better. And then you attract customers around that core purpose and you push away customers that don't match that purpose. Am I right? Wrong?
100%. I mean, around attracting and, I think it can be scary for some firms that are growing to detract from certain clients or customers, right? It's like, oh, we want to win business. Our sales team is out there, but it can be a little bit scary to say, oh, well, if we really get um, granular, it may detract some people. And I would argue, and we
Mhm.
could have a whole conversation around that's actually great because then your business is going to grow with the right um, types of clients and the right types of partners. I think the other thing too that it aligns closely with Rich is for the business owners or the folks that are part of growing businesses that are listening to your podcast is growth plans, right? Like we help people make great decisions. That has flowed into a lot of business ideas or opportunities where we're like, okay, we're not going to go down that path because that actually pulls us farther away from truly being able to deliver unbiased fiduciary decision making insights and recommendations to our clients. And some of those were probably pretty lucrative paths, to be candid, but it keeps you laser focused so that every day, we're parents, right? We wake up, we want to work for a company that aligns with our mission and we feel like we're delivering upon that mission. It keeps you laser focused on that and it keeps you core to your values. And then that then just fuels the authenticity. I could never go sell that we're authentic and we help you make great decisions if some of those business plan ideas down, in years past had pulled us away from that. So I think it's really important too to like, it's both to identify your target market and who you serve, but also how you grow.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that. Quick, we're in year 24 of business now.
Yeah.
I started really intentional with company culture because I was trying to build the place I wanted to work and would
Yep.
empower me to do my best work, essentially, which later I came up with that concept of empowering your best work. Like 8 to 10 years later is when I finally figured out that's the underlying kind of phrase. But
Yep.
when I started, it was really just, I don't like paperwork. So I want to take the work out of paperwork for everybody. And that was our slogan, had been forever. And that was kind of the idea. But we have changed and morphed over time. And honestly, Liz, I think I stumbled onto something not realizing it at first. And I figured out that my brand is my company culture. They're one and the same. The four things that we promise we do for culture are the four things that our customers want from us, which I can
Yep.
go into. But I wonder how much you feel that brand and culture are actually aligned.
I love that question, Rich, because I actually oversaw um, brand and culture. So I see that they're one and the same because, again, as I mentioned early on in this conversation, brand is the touch point of every employee and every client. That's
Mhm.
the living brand. So I think that you can't have one without the other. And so coming up with, what you do is really important, but how you do it and how you serve and what are those you know, at F2 we have curiosity, we have authenticity, we have core fundamental values that our employees live and breathe every day. And living and breathing in a fully dispersed company was a really actually exciting new challenge when COVID hit because we've only been fully dispersed, but a lot of companies became fully dispersed. So I got to, dive into remote culture and build this. How do you build and keep and maintain and grow a culture of when people are separated, we're not all in the break room together. But
Yeah,
to me, it's
right.
it's the same. So it's very much connected. And I love that you brought that up because it was under my umbrella as kind of head of brand, chief marketing officer of F2 culture. Internal culture was very much core to then how we deliver and serve our clients externally. Right. So yes.
Yeah. A friend of mine once said that marketing, so sales is the negotiation, it's the contract. Marketing is making people aware that you have a product that's available. So what is brand? Brand is the emotional predisposition that you get from seeing the brand or feeling the brand. So like Nike does this perfectly.
Yep.
They show all these things that build up emotion and then they show their logo next to it, just do it. So you feel this
Yep.
emotion tied to it.
Yep.
It's really hard to do when you're a technical company or you're behind the scenes or whatever. But this is why I think culture is so prominent in our brand because the feeling we're giving to ourselves in our culture is the exact same feeling we're giving to our customers. They like working with us. They know they're going to get answers. We're going to follow through. The product's going to be easy to use. And we want that for ourselves. So that's what we give them. The irony is, though, is that there's other messages, right? Like we're actually reducing regulatory risk because you're getting control of your forms and your data.
Yep.
Right. So it's a hard thing, I think, to come up with in the beginning of your business. But I think the more you kind of look at how are things evolving and what's really important to you, you start to see these patterns that make sense.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to add into that. Some of our clients, as they grow into bigger enterprises, we help a lot of people kind of either re-articulate or create that brand. Whereas I feel like it's so core, it's never too late to start, but you don't have to be big to deserve a brand. Like everybody has a brand, whether you like it or not. Like you have one. Do you build it purposefully? And that is both on an external level, like we've talked about, but also an internal level with your employees. And that culture is brand is a feeling, which is it's such a ethereal thing, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Culture is how it lives inside, right? How it's actually brought to life in a lot of ways. And that's where it goes back to that, like we help people make great decisions. And we also technology for deeper human connection, right? And so when employees wake up, we're again all over the country, they're helping, they have a purpose, right? And so that brand translating to culture also trickles down into purpose internally. It also trickles into purpose with our clients, right? And so to me, it's all part of the same ecosystem of a feeling and emotion. You know, I mean, Nike is brought up a lot because it's this emotion and inspiration to just do it, right? I would argue that exists in all industries. It's just, what is that purpose? It goes back to those little granular nuggets we talked about early days. And again, it's not too late. You can have these conversations, but it's so important to say, like, what do we do and why do we do it? So that you can clearly articulate it to those around you.
And what are you seeing then with these financial firms, the wealth management firms? How are they differentiating themselves? How are they defining culture and therefore brand in their businesses? Are they all doing the same stuff? Because a lot of people could do the same work when it comes to financial planning, right?
Some are doing it better than others. I will say, like personal experience, Doug and I recently, we moved from Silicon Valley in California out to Chicago, looking for a new advisor that's local. Candidly, to us, they all sound the same. They all do the same thing at the end of the day, right? There's financial planning and investments and insurance and all these things that they all do. That's that wheel and spoke that if anyone's in wealth management that's listening, you all know the wheel and spoke of, a client in the middle and you do all these things around it. What I see is very rare is, again, that feeling that surrounds the wheel and the spoken wheel, or however you say that feeling, that trust, that articulation of who they are and their purpose that would attract maybe entrepreneurs one direction, or retirees another direction, or global international families another direction. I still think there's a hesitancy to be too narrow, to exclude, where to me, this business, wealth management, financial services, there's no more noble work. Like securing financial legacy for humans is just, to me, such a noble job, right up there with healthcare, right up there with education. There's such an amazing space and so many families and individuals in need of financial guidance that there's enough to go around. What I hope and what we help with as well at F2 Strategy is fine-tuning, giving the courage to fine-tune that narrative and that story, and then push our clients to really market to their ideal target prospect or client, which then also there's a lot of advisor recruitment that also recruits the right advisors to your firm that align with that mission, and so I think there's a lot of work to do. And just in our last, I think his last year and a half looking for our own advisors, there's only a handful, I think, that are doing it really, really well. And there's an opportunity for these firms, because once I get in and talk to them, again, I'm a brand marketer. I can say like, I've got all these ideas. You guys are so great doing this. Like, you should talk about this. Like this, I would have called you day one because I didn't know you did this. There's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, there is. I've had some amazing guests on my show who run financial firms, like Joshua Rogers from Arete Wealth, and the feeling of we got to do right, not grow fast, but do right.
Yep.
And Andy Schwartz, I forget his firm's name, but oh my God, I love that guy. And if you haven't heard him, he talks about living vicariously through his customers because he just loves to see them succeed at what they do. That's what I'm
Yep.
aligning with is I see when the advisory firm and the founder of that advisory firm has this passion for how they help their customer. It's not about, oh, I love quants, I love numbers, or I love investments. It's how I really serve the customer. That comes out, and that becomes a much stronger draw to be part of their firm or be part of their customer base, et cetera. All right,
really like from before we jump on that, like the founder or the CEO or the head of it, like they joined or created that company for a reason. I mean, they left probably some cushy corporate job where they could have gotten a paycheck, but they left for a reason to take that leap. There's a passion that pushes people to take a leap. I love uncovering that passion. And sometimes once you've grown a little bit, you lose sight of that. I love diving back into then talking to CEOs and founders and board members of like, why did you make this leap? Why was this worth it? And that to me is the beginning of the brand story right there.
Yeah. Liz, I know we could talk about this for hours, but there's another topic I really kind of want to bring up. We are in the age of AI, and you have a technologist in your firm, right? Who's probably driving everything with AI. What are you seeing is happening for your customers? Like, what are you guys doing to help them move forward? Is it all AI? Is it what is it?
Oh man, yeah. I love talking about this. I absolutely love the intersection of AI and marketing, and where that's going in our space. We do at F2 have an entire division devoted to that, AI to support our clients. We have a head of the division who's been phenomenal. AI is interesting, right? So, excuse me. The earbud went on a journey. AI is interesting because we're a highly regulated industry, right? And so I'm from Silicon Valley. AI, I feel like everyone I know has quit their job and is part of an AI startup at this point. Like it's just the cocktail party conversation. A lot of AI is starting in low, very lightly regulated industries, not healthcare, not financial services, right? We have to be very strategic because those are two of the biggest financial services, being one of the biggest regulated industries in the space. And so there's been a lot of conversation around AI. How do you use AI? And, some of that low hanging fruit early days has really been like operations in the back end and marketing on the front end. And we're seeing a lot of really great movement on the marketing front. And I'll speak to that because that's my area of passion. And I know we're short on time, but it's about how do you show up in AI? It's a whole different search now. I mean, if search for your company using chat or Claude or something like that, it's really fascinating of do you show up, in searches for yourself? What does AI, this is where clients and prospects are looking for you. And so there's a whole shift from kind of that traditional SEO model to, I think they call it like AEO now, like answer engine optimization or GEO, all these terms. But it's really for the marketers to say, okay, how's our network and our prospects and our partners searching for us now? They pull from different AI pulls from different areas than traditional advertising marketing or traditional marketing in the past. Some social media platforms are better than others. So I think one first tip is looking at how you show up in AI is really important, and not only to clients, but I think especially in wealth management, something that is important to understand is, well, wealthy prospects may Google you. A lot of times they're asking their kind of team of experts, trusted advisors around them. So their attorneys, their CPAs. And so making sure that you're showing up also in your COI searches as well. You're writing really authentic content. You're credentializing yourself in publications that both work with AI, but comes in as a credentialized source. So it's a whole shift of mindset. But I actually think that AI is an even better suited for wealth management from a marketing perspective, because wealth management clients, this high net worth, ultra high net worth individual or family, doesn't respond to advertised marketing. They're not, I mean, they probably love the
Yeah.
Nike commercials, but you're not getting them by a commercial. You're not getting them by a targeted ad. You're getting them through a trusted referral. You're getting them through a trusted source. And AI is, you can build all the content and marketing strategy that will optimize you in AI, adds that credibility and trust. Long form, really great research, insights, podcasts, byline articles in Barron's and Wall Street Journal, those types of things marketing should be doing anyways. And that's actually fueling the AI, the AEO, optimization search that your clients and or kind of COIs are already looking at. So I think it's a beautiful marriage. It's great because it's outside of your organization. So some of those regulatory requirements, which just makes it slower in areas like healthcare and financial services and highly regulated industries. Marketing is one of those low hanging fruit that you can start to kind of play with and see and build to optimize yourself for AI. So I could talk about this. I love talking about this. I get pulled on stages to talk about this. I think it's this phenomenal time to really push our industry to do some really great, more better, more customized content for their target audience.
Yeah, I think really this whole idea of AI and how you show up in AI is underscoring the importance of what you should have been doing this whole time, which is
Yep.
marketing, communications, PR, et cetera, because it is drawing from all these different sources. It's looking at public media. Reddit's one of the top ones, for example.
Yep.
I don't want to show up in Reddit because that means it's probably a bad conversation about me. But if it's a
True.
product, it's probably different.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to get in front of if you're not thinking that way already.
Yep.
You're right about timing. We are running out of time, and I want to keep talking to you, but I have to reserve my last question for the last minutes that we have. Before I get to my last
Okay.
question, what is the best way for people to find and connect with you?
Great question. I'm a LinkedIn gal, so I love direct message on LinkedIn. So I'm Liz Fritz on LinkedIn. I'd love to talk more. If feel free to reach out. I read all of my direct messages. So I'd say LinkedIn is the number one spot to get me. I'm on there every day for my job too with F2. So that's hit me up there. I'd love to continue some conversation around brand for value, storytelling, authenticity, all that great stuff. So please, if your listeners are interested to continue the conversation, find me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Here's my favorite question. Who has had the biggest impact on your leadership style and how you approach your role today?
I love that question, Rich, because I know exactly who I'm going to call out. My first manager, my first entry, I think I was 23 years old into the wealth management industry. My dear friend to this day, mentor to this day, Martin Skay. He was the head of wealth management marketing at Wells Fargo Private Bank. I applied to this job. I was straight out of college. I came in as his executive assistant, and he taught me, Rich, everything that I know about creating an incredible, polished client and team member experience that I carry through today. He's actually a dear friend and mentor of Doug Fritz, my co-founder and husband. They'd met before, even years before I even met him. And it's all about how you're showing up. Every single touch point of a relationship is important, from what you're carrying in your hand to how you schedule it to how you speak. I'll never forget, I was 23 and he asked me to do something and I said, no problem. And he said, don't ever say that because it shouldn't feel like a problem, right? It's, little things like that I hold so dear to my heart, and that Doug and I actually, because we have the same mentor, we carry that forward in our consulting. It's like we wear the suit that we sell. Every single touch point is about trust, is about authenticity, it is about polish. It is, and so I got a shout out to Martin. I actually just saw him over our spring break. We got to reconnect, and to this day, his guidance and his patience with a young, buck out of college. He really shaped me and gave me the opportunity to succeed specifically in wealth management, because you have to have that with to earn trust and to be successful and to grow. And so big shout out to him. I'm forever grateful. And I truly appreciate his continued friendship. He was at our wedding. He's part of the family now.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. One of the reasons I love this question is because I ask myself, how am I showing up as a leader, potentially a mentor? What impact am I having on some young buck out of college type of thing, right? And so I'm asking myself, how can I be better at this? And hearing these stories always inspires me. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
All right. We do have to wrap this up. I hate to say this, but we do. So I want to give a huge thank you to Liz Fritz, the tenured marketing executive and co-founder of F2 Strategy, for being on this episode of The Customer Wins. Go check out Liz's website at F2. That's like Frank or Fritz, actually. F2strategy.com. And don't forget to check out Quick at quickforms.com, where we make processing forms easier. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion. We'll click the like button, share this with someone, and subscribe to our channels for future episodes of The Customer Wins. Liz, thank you so much for joining me today.
Rich, thank you so much for having me on. I absolutely love talking about brand, about the customer journey. Thank you for creating space for this conversation. And I can't wait to listen to your future podcasts on my daily walks going forward.
Thanks for listening to the Customer Wins podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.